New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.
What's going on? It's Ellis from Nick of Time Show here, give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And we've had a lot happen for us in these last few weeks, but the biggest news of the last few weeks is the Knicks finally know their draft order, and we are picking number 8. We're not so lucky. Listen, we haven't had a first round draft pick since
1985?
1985. Every year we picked, we've gone lower than when we placed, and this year is no different. But it is what it is. Before you even get into the details of that, I'm gonna just introduce everybody. Below, left corner of the screen. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Miss Black Girl Magic yourself.
K Steele.
All right. Bottom right of the screen is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy with the stats and the facts.
Ryan G in the building.
Damn right's in this building. And right of the screen, another legend in its own right. Set KOT on fire when he was here a few months ago. Got a few YouTubers mad at him, but it's okay, man. The YouTubers just get mad. This comes with territory. Very knowledgeable though. Very real light for most of the people who watch the show. The one and only drafts aficionado, Jake in the Paint.
Well, I appreciate. First of all, I appreciate you guys having me back. Second, I appreciate the very kind introduction. I'm blanking on which NFL player said it, or maybe it's been said before. But at least if you don't have haters, you're not popping. So I'm glad that I could have a couple Haliburton stands mad at me in the YouTube comments. I know we'll talk about him today, but I appreciate you guys having me back, and let's have some fun talking Knicks draft.
Hell yeah! And for those who are mad at that Hallie breakdown, he was right. I'm sorry, he was right. Jake was right. Hallie has no handles. You just might as well call him Hallie no handles. All right. He's a really good player though. He's a really good player, but not for the team. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right, Jake. So Knicks are picking 8th, and I know you have in your mind who will be available, who won't. So let's kind of just break down your pick and your vision for the Knicks in the 8th spot. Who's the first person you would like to speak about?
Let's start off with Killian.
Hell yeah, let's start. But before you get into Killian, I got into a mini argument not an argument, but a debate, because I didn't believe Killian was going to be there at 8. I don't think so, because Detroit is in front of us. But go ahead.
I don't think he should be there. Like, I don't think he should slip past 4. I think he should be top of Chicago's board at 4. And then you have Cleveland. I don't think is going to take him. Atlanta, I don't think it makes much sense. But then you do have Detroit, who needs a little bit of everything. So he shouldn't get to us, but his stock is right around that like 10 to late lottery range. For some reason, he's just not gaining that traction. And it appears like within the league that guys like Haliburton, Obi Toppin, Onyeka Okongwu, like there seems to be a consensus of guys, Denny, that are kind of locked in to go ahead of him, regardless of what guys need. So I think Killian will be there for us. And I think he's the number one option for me by a pretty big margin. Now that we can't get LaMelo, I think he's the go-to guy. And if he's there on the board, I'm sprinting to the podium.
Absolutely for me as well, because I know for me, I just wanted, bare minimum, I just wanted 6th. And the reason why I wanted that was, all right, cool. I figured we beat in front of Detroit. I know Detroit is probably our biggest competitor for a point guard after LaMelo. And the fact that we were right behind Detroit just pissed me off.
Yeah. I definitely, like, there's some teams you definitely want to get in front of. Like, in my opinion, Chicago is one of those teams, but I think Chicago got so high up that like they're going to go best player available, and the league values like Obi Toppin or Denny. I mean, I have Denny top 6, whatever, and I like Obi Toppin top 10. I wouldn't get mad at you if you took him 5, whatever. But I think they should go get a point guard, right? You have Kobe White, you have Zach LaVine. You don't exactly have ball movers, and Killian Hayes, great passer, and he can really kind of just set the table for everyone.
Absolutely.
So I think there are still teams that, like, if we climbed up and Atlanta was in front of us, I wouldn't be too tight about it. Like if we climbed up, I'm trying to think of like other teams. I mean, Golden State, who knows what they're going to do, but teams like that. Detroit is definitely one of the teams that I wanted to be ahead of for that exact reason. But I just think, like, look, I hate to be this guy that's like, I'm happy we didn't go higher because I don't like those people because like you want the highest draft pick as possible.
Exactly.
Like it's kind of
don't make me not like you, Jay.
However,
I'm co-signing, Jane.
I'm gonna say one thing.
You always co-signing losing.
Yep.
Kathy.
Not at all.
I'm gonna say one thing. For me, the two top guys were LaMelo and Killian Hayes, hands down.
Right.
LaMelo is going to be a top 3 pick. So if it's like, okay, if you're getting into top 3 or getting to top 2, that's your guy. Whatever.
Right.
If you're not doing that, I don't think you pick Killian Hayes at 5. Like I think we would pick Denny or Obi Toppin or someone like that who just where their like draft value among the league is like that's their range right now. And I don't know if we would like make that quote unquote reach for Killian. However, versus if we're at 8 and someone like Obi and Okongwu is off the board and Denny's off the board, maybe that makes us more inclined to make the right pick. I don't know. I'm actually not all that mad at 8 because like we can talk about Killian and someone Devin Vassell, 2 people I love and I would love the Knicks to get. Like that's prime range for them. And I think those are 2 of the better picks we could make. And I don't think we necessarily make them if we're at 5. You know, if you guys know what I'm trying to say.
See, I thought the opposite because of the news, the news tea leaves I was seeing all year, how the Knicks seemed like they were just really headstrong on interviewing all these point guards. I just knew if LaMelo was not available, we would either A, get Killian, or B, trade up if we drafted high enough to try to get LaMelo. But now that we're 8, it makes it seem even less likely we would trade up for him. But some people think otherwise because of the way the numbers fall. But that's a whole other conversation.
I mean, I'm just gonna be straight up. I don't think we have the juice to trade up to number 2. I don't know. I don't know what Golden State would want from us that we can contribute to them now. Like we all know what our basketball team has, and we all know what Golden State wants. And Golden State wants to win now, and they want a piece that can contribute on a championship team. And I don't think we have that. So I don't. Yes, I would love to go trade up to number 2 and get LaMelo Ball, but I just don't see how it works for either side. To be honest, it doesn't really make much sense.
Interestingly enough, I've heard from Spencer. He says Golden State likes Denny, and I was like, really? He's like, they really like him, and I was like, that makes perfect sense to me because he's a plug and play guy for him. So he feels like LaMelo can drop, and other people feel like LaMelo can drop as low as like 4 or 5, and I'm like, that just sounds too crazy to me.
I mean, I don't think he gets past 3 at Charlotte.
Me neither.
I think Charlotte also sprints to the podium if he's there number 3. If he falls past 3, I would be shocked if the Bulls let him fall. So I just think like there's too many teams in the top 4 that make sense for LaMelo. I don't think Minnesota makes sense, but Golden State, I think that fit is a little bit less catastrophic than others do if they keep the pick. And whoever they move the pick is likely going to be trading up to get him. So he would make sense there. And then 3 and 4, he makes perfect sense. I'd be shocked if we get anywhere near him. But I mean, we can talk about Killian because Killian's going to be there. Right. I think he's going to be there. And I think that's the right pick for us. You get 2 left. We talked about this before, kind of 2 really left-hand dominant players in him and RJ Barrett, which is not a good thing by any means. However, I don't know how you guys feel about RJ. I like RJ. I think he can be a really good piece. However, I don't think he is the cornerstone of the team for the future. Like, I still think we're looking for that guy. So I'm a little bit less like it's a less of a turnoff for me that Killian Hayes is super left-hand dominant because the Knicks team at their peak, like if we're talking like 5 or 6 years from now, that I picture, like doesn't include RJ Barrett shouldering like a heavy offensive usage, you know? It can be like him just doing little, like he has a knack for the ball and he has a knack for putting the ball in the basket. And I think like when he was at Montverde, he was surrounded by a ton of talent. He played alongside 2 elite ball handlers and guards in Mike DeVoe and Andrew Nembhard. So he was more of like, he still put up 25 game, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot more off-ball action. So it was a lot more dribble handoffs. It was a lot more back cuts, offensive rebounds, putbacks. It wasn't pick and roll, ISO heavy stuff. So if you subscribe to that theory that I'm throwing out there, the idea of getting Killian Hayes in there and then later down the line getting other offensive pieces that could carry the usage, it makes like the left hand dominance a little bit less of an issue.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think we're way too far away from projecting fit with amongst our team. And I think Killian Hayes is a really, really good prospect who's going to be a good NBA point guard, like an above average NBA point guard for a long time. I don't know if he has the star ceiling, but he has made rapid athletic and skill improvements over the past couple of years. Big, strong guard. It's really impressive, like footwork off the bounce in terms of like step backs, catch, like just getting to his spots. He's great touch on floaters, great passer. My biggest concern is the catch and shoot shooting. Like he's not good there. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about the Knicks, like he wouldn't really have to go off ball that much. He just wouldn't. Imagining a pick and roll with him and Mitch, like that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Then the organization just to surround him with some shooters, and that is something that we didn't have. And if you want to maximize Killian, if you want to maximize any point guard, you have to have shooting around them, and you have to keep defenses honest in their help responsibilities. So I think Killian is the go-to pick for me, but there's a couple other guys that I would be happy with as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely on Team Killian. If Killian is there at 8, I am running to the podium and not turning back, and I'm skipping back with like cheer. I am
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's the play. 100%.
And for me, like we've talked about this before with his shooting, and although he's not good on the catch and shoot side of the ball, I still feel like that's gonna come around. He shoots too good from the free throw line.
Oh yeah,
He's too good of a step back for that to be it. You know?
Yeah. So I mean, what I kind of point it towards is just reps and lack of comfort with game reps off the ball. We're kind of talking about someone who has always had the ball in his hands, with the exception of when he played FIBA with Maladon. That was kind of a complicated situation. Like it's an interesting watch because they're not as cohesive, like playing off of each other as you would expect. It's kind of like, oh, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. So although he was playing off of Maladon, it like wasn't those off-ball reps that you would kind of want or expect at a young age. So he's kind of had the ball in his hands for the majority of his development, and he's super comfortable shooting off the bounce and less comfortable off the catch. And like that's rare. I think Tyrese Maxey is like that too. Like if you look at both those guys, they're way more comfortable stepping into a pull-ups, getting into a step back than they are kind of like two a catch and shoot jumper, which is cool. Like there are people like that, but the difference is Killian's like a career 90% 3-point free throw shooter. Maxey isn't. That's not saying not a good shooter, but Killian, like it's tough because he really hasn't been a good shooter for like this has been like 3 years now. This is nothing new. It wasn't a fluke year. But you just have to, like, the development for him as a pull-up shooter is beyond impressive, and that is much harder than catch and shoot shooting, in my opinion. Like, does that mean that the catch and shoot shooting is a lock to come around because he figured it out off the bounce? No, not at all. But am I willing to bet on that guy more than someone else in the draft with maybe a similar shooting profile? Yeah, 100%. So I think that's going to come around, but if with us, like, you would minimize the weaknesses and maximize the strengths.
Exactly. And just the fact that, you know, in the pick and roll heavy league, people like, you know, when Frank runs pick and roll, people like to step under. That's not happening with Killian. He's going to be able to pull that, and that's going to open up so much more once he's able to do that. If we're able to get him. I don't know. Do you guys want to add anything, Ryan, Kathy, or you?
I mean, with Killian Hayes, like, I mean, I guess the both of you pretty much said everything about Killian Hayes. If I'm the Knicks at number 8, Killian Hayes would be like one of my top choices. There is another choice at number 8 I do want to talk about though, which recently, like, I've been reading up on, and I watched some highlights, and he's caught my eye, and I'm like, the Knicks do need this type of player on their team, somebody who can really shoot the ball from 3, and that's Devin Vassell. He looks like the typical 3-and-D wing, which I feel like the Knicks do need somebody like that on their squad.
I mean, I love that we can like see each other on video now because you can see me smiling. I wanted to talk about it. I love Devin Vassell. Like love Devin Vassell. I think I have him like 8th on my board, but that doesn't like. Well, once you get to a point, it's like, okay, it's 6th, 7th, 8th. What are we really doing here?
Right.
Anyways, I love Devin Vassell, and I think he's without a doubt, now that LaMelo is kind of out of reach, he is without a doubt my second like number 2 on my Knicks board. With Devin Vassell, he's going to provide us with something that we haven't had in a few years, and that's reliable wing shooting from the jump, like exactly what you mentioned. But what I love more about Devin Vassell is I've been preaching on every Knicks podcast, Knicks show, whatever. We need good basketball players, right? Like we can't keep getting these like swing for the fences guys that don't pan out, and we keep doing this cycle. We need good basketball players. And in this entire class, I'm really confident that like if I were to pick 3 players that are going to be positive impact NBA players, Devin Vassell would be one of them, because his skill set is really tailor-made for today's game. He's not like a theoretical 3-and-D guy like a lot of these players get pegged at. Like he's legitimately good at both right now. He'll step in there. His release point is incredible. He's like never-ending arms, and he utilizes that to his advantage. His release point is above his head. Every shot he takes is pretty much contested.
Nice.
And that's not a bad, like, it's a bad thing, I guess, because you're like, oh, he can't create his own looks, like whatever, but you're not going to rely on him. And he's making them. He's making tough shots at a very high clip, and he's taking them at a high clip. So I was really, we talk about off the bounce dribble progression. Like he was in the 0th percentile, I believe, in pull up jumpers as a freshman, I'm pretty sure. And now he's in like the 60th, which is, I mean, absolutely remarkable. Yeah, he basically didn't take them at all last year and didn't make them. And now it was a patent part of his game. He was attacking closeouts. He's getting to his spots. He's very comfortable with the 1-2 dribble pull up. And I just think like there is some untapped upside as a potential shot, like tough shot maker. I don't think he'll never be this like Paul George wing initiator who's going to like come off the bounce, do a step back, create his own shot, but he's going to demand closeouts because he's a very reliable catch and shoot shooter. And with those closeouts, he's going to be able to attack them. As a passer, he's a little bit interesting. He has his games he has his on games, he has his off games. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a trademark of his game. Like I like Josh Green a lot as a half court passer. I like Isaac Okoro a lot as a half court passer, like as wings. I don't think Vassell is necessarily a plus passer. However, like, he has made some pretty like eye-opening reads, and I'm willing to think that might improve going forward. But he is such a good skill set already, and it's so tailor-made, and it all fits together right now that he even if that playmaking doesn't come around, he's still going to be a big-time impact player with the shooting, with the shot making, and just as a team defense menace. Like he will he will be a big-time contributor on the defensive end from day one. I strongly believe that.
That's a huge deal for us, because we, like you said, we haven't had that in a long time, and that would definitely shore it up. I have a different philosophy though, not that he's a good player, because we listen, Knicks have holes everywhere. That's an understatement, right?
Yeah.
But when I think about the total makeup of the team, we have RJ, I might be a little bit higher in RJ than you, Jake, because I still feel like he'll figure it out eventually. We have Mitch. In my mind, I know it's not, everybody doesn't agree with this, but in my mind, we go point guard, in my mind. So
yeah, so I agree with you. Like I do agree with you. And that's why Killian is point blank number 1 to me.
Right.
Where it gets complicated, and there's 2 like combo-ish guards that I think we both want to talk about in Cole Anthony and Kyra Lewis. Where it gets dicey is that I'm not comfortable saying, and I really like both of them a lot, Cole Anthony and Kyra Lewis. I'm not really comfortable saying either of those guys are point guards, right? Like I'm not comfortable handing them the keys to my offense. So then we kind of run into this like thing where it's like, okay, we have combo guards, but we still don't have a true point guard. So for me, like the Knicks need to address their point guard situation. We can't not address that in the offseason, whether it's free agency or the draft. If it's the draft, you get Killian or LaMelo. If you don't get either one of those guys, you have to sign a point guard. Like you just have to. I just don't want to feel like, oh, we need to get a point guard and then kind of pass up on someone like Vassell, who can really be a positive player and a good piece in our future, because like we think we need a point guard. Like I don't want to be so pressed on hitting a position that we kind of strike out and get the wrong guy there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what, too? I agree with you. I guess it depends on how high or low are you on the point guards that are left, because I guess for me right now, I'm pretty high on Kira, not so much on Cole.
Yeah.
And because I'm kind of high on Kira, and I think I feel like that can work because of the speed, and I feel like the passing can get there because some of the passes he's made are kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But he's inconsistent with that. But I'm thinking, oh, maybe he can share the point guard duties with. I feel like, I know you don't like RJ as running point two. I've seen some of those Duke games. I'm like, he had some 10 assist games where he was making some nice reads at the top of the key. So I'm just like, hey, we can do some 2 point guard things going and be okay in my mind.
So what I'll say about RJ is like, in my opinion, the best passing game of like his Duke career was Virginia Tech, and I actually was lucky enough to watch a game in person. They played it down in DC, and he was really, really good there, and I was really impressed watching him in person there. And then kind of going through the tape, like rewatching it again, a lot of those reads are like premeditated pick and roll reads, which is not a bad thing by any means. Like the thing with RJ is I do believe he has the ability to pass. It's just the wiring. Like, are you willing to pass? And in that setting, you saw him make these really simple reads. I'm coming around the pick and roll. I'm going to look off the corner shooter. I'm going to hit the dive man. Great. That's awesome. If you can do that in the NBA at a consistent level, that's a big plus for someone like RJ. Where I get a little bit concerned is like RJ is really, I'm not gonna say really bad. He's not strong as an improviser, right? Like in terms of driving into the paint, attracting defense, reading where someone's going, even making one guy commit when he shouldn't, and then dropping it off or kicking it out. Like he's not great there yet. And while there's still feel like he can still develop that with more reps, I'm a little less skeptical that fully comes around. Do I trust RJ to run a secondary pick and roll and make the right read out of that? 100% I do. And I think that will come around eventually. I don't think he's this like big wing where you can give him the ball. So I do think like in our best interest long-term, we're going to have at least 1 or 2 handlers alongside of him.
Right.
But I do think you also need to prioritize floor spacing. And like, that's where if you have an issue with Killian, like that is where it's okay. But I just think like, everything else is too good to pass that up, you know?
I feel you. I guess for me too with Kira is the shooting is still like the shooting isn't horrible with Kira. So it's like, all right.
So I really like I've been on Kyrie Lewis as a top 10 guy like since early December. I watched one of his I liked him a lot as a returner. And you know, in the beginning of college basketball season, everyone's playing all these random teams and it's kind of hard to decide who to watch. So whatever, I picked one of the Bama, like I think he was playing Penn or something. I was like, holy shit, like this guy is crazy. Like he is blowing by everyone. He's making these 1 or 2 like one-handed live whip passes all around the court. He's like, this dude is real deal. Then he kind of hit a little bit of a slump early on. And then in like February-ish, late January, he really, really turned it on. Like,
he turned it back. Yeah, exactly.
And he was really impressive. The thing I'll say, like he suffers a little bit from like not RJ syndrome because he's a lot better as a decision maker, but in terms of like improvising, he doesn't throw a lot of like pocket passes or a lot of like quick drop offs. It's a lot of them are that like one-handed whip pass to an open shooter, which is cool. Like that is not a bad thing. But when you're projecting someone as a potential primary and a potential point guard, you have to take into account how versatile are they as a passer? Where are their pass locations similar? Are they different? Are they throwing different types of passes?
Understood.
Are they mixing up their reads? And I think Kira took a huge step up as a passer. The reason I'm still kind of pegging him as like a combo type is because I just didn't see enough versatility as a passer. Like he is extremely effective at what he's good at. And he's good at driving, getting into the second level of the defense with pure speed and burst and making them pay with a one-handed pass out to a shooter. Like that is bread and butter. He is cold. He will do that forever. What I'm a little less like you don't see him making these tight little wraparound passes to the big on the roller. And look, this is me being really, really nitpicky because I really do love Kyrie Lewis. And like I've always been team Cole like ahead of Kyra. But I'm really like starting to mess with my head. And that's kind of why I wish the draft was like a month ago. When you spend too much time with these guys, in my head, like we're approaching like 12 months now where I've been watching these guys and that is not good. Like, I'm just going to say that is not good. But with Kyra, like I really, really like him a lot. And I like that he can go on and off the ball like seamlessly. And I'm more confident in like Cole as a self-creator, right? Like he has that, he has a step back. He can get to his spots. He's a really good pull-up shooter. I think Cole is a better slasher. I have concerns with Kyra around the rim. He's not a great vertical athlete, so he gets blocked a lot, takes off too far from the rim. Like there's some things there. I mean, obviously Cole was a really poor finisher, and I think that was one of my biggest points when I was on here last time.
Yeah, exactly.
Since then, I watched since then he came back from the injury. I think that was before he came back from the injury. So he came back from the injury, played a bunch of really good games. I was able to dive into all those, and I wrote a big piece about him that I'll tweet once I tweet out the link for the pod.
Okay.
That basically dove into like the team context and the stuff that he was faced with. There are two bigs in the lane at all times.
Right.
When he goes to drive. However, he doesn't read that, and instead of like pulling a fill floater, he just tries to go into the rim. So it's like, who are you placing that blame on? I think it's on the bigs. Like as a guard, you're coming downhill full speed. You want to go up. You want to be able to extend at the rim and get all the way to the rim. Especially Cole, who's been a power guard for basically his entire life. I know he had said on like an interview or an interview on a podcast that he was playing like the entire season, like 70%. And I see that because like he just wasn't as bursty as he was in high school. So does that come back? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a little bit worried about Cole in New York because I get worried that they're going to give him the keys and he's going to just shoot like 18 shots a game. And like, it's not great. It's not good for anyone. Like that's really not good for anyone versus someone like Kyra. You can kind of weave him into that like combo guard role.
Exactly.
He can be a transition point guard, but off the ball, he can be a reliable catch and shoot shooter. He can attack closeouts. Like I just think they're for New York. And listen, I don't want to say that contradiction. I threw out a mock draft the other night and I was like, what I would do for each team. And I had the Knicks taking Cole over Kyra because he was like higher on my board. And then I've been thinking about it and I was like, Cole in New York would kind of be that could be a disaster. Like I'm just
yes, you heard that, Kathy?
Like, I love Cole too.
I mean,
I love Cole too. I really do.
know.
Like I think he was dealing with some serious shit in a million different ways this past year that I wouldn't really wish on any top prospect. But I'm just a little bit worried that like that New York wouldn't be able to slot him into his ideal role, and then he kind of gets overextended. You know.
That's exactly You want to say something, Ryan?
Yeah, I just have a question about Kyra because to me, when I look at like the draft or whatever the case may be, like, would you think that he's good value at number 8? Because according to like what I see, like I think he would go lower in the draft. Like, what kind of situation would you think the Knicks would have to be in to get Kyra? Because to me, it would seem like the Knicks would have to probably trade down to get him and probably pick up more assets rather than just picking him at 8 and like, going for like, I guess, the hope that he's going to be this spectacular point guard. You're going to pick him over other guys where, it seems like he's going to go like later in the draft.
Right. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways. Like, I don't know where anyone's stock is right now. I'm just going to be completely honest. There is no consensus. Like since there was no combine, usually we get 2 months of these guys. Like everyone knows who's going where, and the entire draft cycle kind of just got turned upside down this year for obvious reasons. Like I saw a mock with Precious in the top 10, like multiple mocks, and I would never have him close to, like never ever have him close to top 10. So. And Kyra is in late teens, early 20s, and I think that's crazy. So I agree with the philosophy of, look, if the pick hits, it doesn't matter where you take them, right? Like when we look back at these redrafts, we can say, oh my God, the Knicks, you passed on SGA and you took Kevin Knox. If Kevin Knox was a stud, we wouldn't be saying that. We're only saying that because Kevin Knox was like statistically the worst player in the NBA. So like that's why we're going back to the NBA. That's why we're going back to the redrafts and criticizing them. Like no one's. I'm trying to think of a better example, but like you know what I'm saying. Like no
MPJ too. MPJ's been balling lately, and it was like, oh, Knicks passed on.
100%.
Hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah, I mean hindsight is always 2020. But if you get your guy and he works out, there really can't be anything against that. Like that's kind of where my point is. So while Kyra's stock might be a little bit lower, like look at the Suns last year for Cam Johnson. They were at 11. Cam Johnson was likely a late teens, early 20s guy. He was their player. They took him at 11. I thought it was a reach, not an insane reach, but I thought it was a little bit of a reach. But he worked out for them. And no one, when we look back at this redraft, we're never going to criticize the Suns and say, oh, they took him at 11. They could have traded down and got him at 19. Like at some point, that's your guy. Don't risk anything. Go get him. And especially with someone as like up in the air as Kyra. I have no idea where his stock could be. Like, it wouldn't shock me if there was a team in the top 10 that's in love with him, you know?
I'm gonna be honest. I would take him at 8.
I would take him at 8 too. I would take him at 8 too. I would.
To me, it's just like even with his limitations, I still feel like it's enough ball handling and enough. He's able to break down a team enough to at least initiate an offense and get everybody else going, even though he can't make all the pocket passes right now. Hopefully he can eventually. But I think that's the point of having him and RJ together. You know, you can still have RJ do his secondary dribble penetration, tap the close out, pick and roll thing, and it will work for the Knicks to me. So I have him at 8 if Killian is not there.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't know. For me, Kyra's gonna be my third choice. Like if Killian and Vassell's not there, then I go Kyra. But for me, my top 2 is Killian and Vassell. Those are 2 guys I'm looking at.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Ryan.
those are the ones I want.
I'm with you 100%. 100%.
I'm not mad.
Those 2.
I'm not mad.
Vass is the real deal, man. If I don't know. He's been messing with my head. I might have to move him up. He's been messing with my head for way too long now.
Listen, Knicks fans, a lot of Knicks fans have him out at 8. I've seen him at 8. I've seen Cole. I feel like Killian is gaining some traction lately,
which I like a lot. Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot of debates, and I've even seen some names. I'm like, okay, all right.
Can I talk about Poku?
That's exactly yes.
So it's like Spencer.
Wait, I have a question before you guys dive deeper.
Yeah.
Do you think too that it's sometimes that it's just that the Knicks show their hand too often, too quick? Like we usually like tell people and tell everybody what we want to go after or who we want, or like everybody, we already know what we need. But I feel like sometimes the Knicks just show our hand too much, and because of that, the league kind of like plays on it.
Yeah, no, I do think it's kind of interesting because I was thinking back at this and I was like, I have no idea who the Knicks are want or are going to take. But this, like, I felt like when they took Frank, everyone kind of knew they were going to take Frank. And when they took Knox, everyone kind of knew they were going to take Knox. And yeah, we're a long way away from the draft and all this stuff kind of leaks eventually. But I do think it's an interesting point. And like, I don't know. I think like the league might like prey on the Knicks.
they definitely do. The fact that Golden State got 2 and we got 8 is signs that, you know. I
mean, look, we have a new front office. We have new draft people in town. Hopefully they keep things close to the vest. I think everything is going to be a little bit closer to the vest this year.
I hope so, because I feel like if we do that, it'll work in our favor more. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those pieces or a lot of those players that are up for grabs won't look as attractive. Yeah. Because Knicks are like the minute we start talking about a thing or we start talking about a player, it's like they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think Golden State has legitimately sent out a leak that they're going to take every single player in the top 10. Like, I think since January, if you follow like Real GM, I'm pretty sure Real GM has posted article. Well, the Warriors would take Tyrese Haliburton in the top 3. They would take James Wiseman. They want Anthony Edwards. They would get LaMelo Ball.
But the funny thing is too that some of those players they don't even need. A lot of those pieces they don't need, and I think it's more so just for hype.
That's why it's more believable.
I think it's for hype.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's just for hype. It's hype, and it's what's gonna get people talking, and it's just like y'all not taking half of those players. Yeah. Y'all don't need them.
And literally, the thing is, I'm leaving for school tomorrow. I'm fully prepared for everyone at school to ask me like where player X is going. I have no idea. I know just as much. My intel sources are looking at ESPN mock drafts and like because that's the best sense of intel. I have no connections. We all have the same resources in terms of intel. I know who should go where. I don't know who is going where. Mm-hmm. And this year especially, it's just everything is really, really up in the air. Like someone like Poku, he could go late first round and I wouldn't be surprised. And someone could take him at 6 and I'd be like, okay, cool.
Let's get into Poku because Poku's a guy.
If he doesn't go high, I see the Spurs taking him.
Yeah. So Poku basically he originally gets like pegged as this unicorn, right? He's super young for the class. He's still 17, I think, or like if he turned 18, it was extremely recent. So super, super young. He's basically my age. He's 7 feet tall. He moves like no one I've ever seen before. Like so fluid. I have a clip on my Twitter of him like sliding with the guard at half court and then flipping his hips, opening up back to the center of the floor and swatting his layup attempt at the rim, and it was just mesmerizing. Like, that's the stuff that I'm like, whoa, I've never ever seen that before. Defensively, like, he's super skinny. He's like, if you think Porzingis was skinny, Poku is even skinnier. Like, he gets bullied by people that have no business playing the same basketball court as him, just from a skill perspective. But defensively, he's really interesting as like an event creator, right? Like, he's super anticipatory. He's lengthy, he's quick. So they result in some like freakish steals and blocks, but he is kind of prone to gamble, and his motor isn't always running. So like, I'm going to be really interested to see what he looks like as a defender when he gets to the league. Cause like, it's kind of a boom or bust possession from him on defense. Like, either he makes a crazy highlight play or he gets caught sleeping and gets backdoor. Like,
Yikes.
Those like team defense struck. But again, he's super, super young, and like, he's kind of all over the place right now as a basketball player. Offensively is really where it's like, whoa, like, what did I just see there? He can he can legitimately handle the ball, not like a point center, because those guys don't exist, but like, he can run off of a pin down, he can run off a dribble handoff, he can attack closeouts, he can make live drill passes with both hands.
7 feet.
Yeah, 7 feet tall. Like, he just does some wicked stuff. Like, I was watching a game the other day, and like, you remember those like touch passes in transition? Like, I'm trying to think who like used to like mass him, but it's like, it'll literally just be like a tap. Like, he did like a little tap pass behind his head. Like, I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't.
Okay.
I mean,
Joker.
I wanted to post the clip on Twitter so bad, but like, someone gave me access to the games confidentially and said, don't let anyone know you're watching these. So that one's saved on my computer in all caps. I'm like, one day I'm gonna get it is like, seriously,
Send that to me. I won't show nobody.
all right. I'll drop it to you on Twitter, but basically, like, it is one of the wildest clips I've seen. And it just like those little flashes. It's like, okay, like, these aren't like flashes of like, okay, he can maybe do that, he can maybe do this. These are flashes of like brilliance. And it's like, yes, is there a chance that his frame just never holds up and he can't gain traction? And for me, the biggest concern is the shooting, because his entire offensive game is basically predicated around him being super tall and super like coordinated on the perimeter. And the percentages haven't necessarily been there, and the mechanics are a little bit inconsistent when you watch. Like, it's fluid. He gets up and he gets great elevation. It's smooth. It's one motion, but the finish, like, sometimes his wrist flares a little bit in, sometimes flares a little bit out, sometimes it's in finish. It's not a polished product. However, if the percentages are there, and we're talking about shooting projection, like, I really value volume and versatility.
Right.
And he has both of those. Like, he takes a lot of them, and he takes a lot of hard threes. So I think there's definitely room for him to grow as a shooter. The turning point for me as an evaluator, when I really start to get him, is instead of looking at him as this like unicorn 5, because I was like, he's going to get bullied by any center if he's a 5. Like, he can't hold up. He just can't hold up. Yeah. So instead of looking at him as this unicorn center, I started to like look at him through the lens of being a modern 4, right? Like, just a bigger modern 4, because I believe that he's going to have no issues sliding on the perimeter. Like, that's not going to be an issue for him. And as the modern 4, he won't have the responsibilities of like being in all the actions. He can kind of be like that corner weak side guy. Where he can really leverage like the event creation. He can come in for a weak side block. He can rotate for a crazy steal. Like, I think him being a 4 kind of benefits him on both ends of the floor. He's a high. I mean, everyone says he's a high risk, high reward. I don't even think he's that high of a risk, to be honest. Like, really? I think he's too good at too many things on the basketball court to like not stick. Whether he is this crazy star, that's to be determined. But I think he finds a way in the league. I really do.
So when if you're going to lean on a certain skill in this for him, it would be his deep. Well, not, I guess it wouldn't be his defense. What is it?
I mean, I hate to say it, it's got to be movement. Like, it's got to be movement and coordination at 7 feet tall, because it's just that outlier that I've never seen anything like it before, and it's evident within one game. It's like, hold on,
okay,
what did he just do? And he has the skills and like ambitious wiring to go along with that make it so useful. Like, he's comfortable attacking closeouts and throwing passes. He's comfortable getting into the lane and tossing up like crazy floaters. He's comfortable taking pull-up jumpers. So he's not like, he is really wild as a player. Like, he's out there, he's willing to try new things. And this coordination and movement skills, like, all they do is enable him to pull them off and like utilize these skills and maximize them in terms of impact on the court. So like I hate to say movement because it's not like a basketball skill, like right, passing, shooting, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But the movement is really what unlocks like everything about his game, and that's where the appeal comes from.
I see the appeal. That's what it scares me though to take him that high, only because I feel like because there isn't I don't know what's going to translate right away thing. It makes me.
Oh, I've always. I mean, Spencer wants the Knicks to take him. We've talked about it. I'm a little bit less cautious because we don't really. I mean, we don't really have anyone right now. So like, and over the past 7 years, I haven't seen much that shows I should really trust our player development staff.
And now the other thing I was about to get into is like, to me, it seems like with this guy, we're gonna have to give him some time.
No, 100% have to give him some time.
Looks like we're going all in on player development for the first time. We brought in these new guys. We got I forgot the gentleman's name from Utah who trained Dame Dollars and Paul Millsap and Donovan Mitchell, and so maybe it'll be different this time. Who knows? But
I mean, listen, if you trust your player development staff, and everyone always says if you trust your strength and conditioning, you have to take him. Like dudes are just skinny. Like Porzingis is a perfect example. His frame is skinny. Porzingis is never going to be jacked. Does that mean he can't be good on the basketball court? No, not at all. To me, it's do you trust your development? And trust that you're going to be able to hone in on what makes him great and kind of eliminate all the bullshit that like makes him this wild guy. I don't picture him being anything other than like a frail 7-footer, right? At any point during his career, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, like I can see an injury coming, man. I can see Unicorn Part 2 with the AC. I can see it.
Hey, man,
it scares me.
I'm not qualified enough to speak on injuries, but what I will say is like that dude has a special array of skills that it's intriguing. It's intriguing.
All right. I'll leave it at that. I definitely seen Spencer really tout.
Oh, dude, Spencer loves that, man. Spencer
loves some Poku, man.
Yeah,
he's a Poku man for real.
100%.
Remember too, KP's injury came because he was carrying a heavy load. Like at least like there are a few more pieces that he won't have to like exert himself as much as KD did. So
yeah. I mean, also, when you're 7 feet tall and your frame, when you're 7 feet tall, moving like that, it's just so alien.
I mean, he's an anomaly. Like
exactly.
Just being honest, I've never seen anything like that, and it's just people are gonna be like, "Whoa!" Like that dude he's something different.
Exactly, and you just don't know what's gonna happen. You just don't.
No idea.
You just don't know what's gonna happen. So it's like, all right. I mean, I'm not as high as you and Spencer, but I do recognize the potential there.
Yeah, I mean, I still have him. He's still at like 10 or 11 for me because the part that I can't buy into him as an offensive player because I don't know where the shooting nets out. Like if he's not a good shooter, it's going to be really tough for him on offense because he's not necessarily beating guys off the bounce. The passing value comes with him as a movement shooter and like bending defenses and drawing closeouts and going from there. He's not sizing dudes up and he's not running a pick and roll. So if he can't shoot and he's not demanding closeouts and he's not demanding hard coverages at the 3-point line, I think you could really see him having a tough time on offense. And then with that, like there's still questions on defense. Is he going to be able to clean up his decision making? Is he going to go for good gambles? Like he has a lot of bad gambles, And look, he's 18 years old. I try not to say that about a lot of guys because everyone is super young in the draft. But he's basically like a full year behind all the top prospects, which is definitely noteworthy.
Exactly.
He's just kind of like, he's a super interesting case study. I can't, that's like the biggest point I can leave you guys with.
Well, I'll say this though. Knicks have Will Perrin right now, who's had, a pretty good track record of picking guys. He's in there in the draft room with these guys. We just got Johnny Bryant, like I talked about a minute ago, another Utah guy. These Utah guys are good at developing, as we've seen before. So if the Knicks pick this guy, I'm going to trust a little bit more that we picked the right guy, because I'm not gonna lie, I was not excited about the Knox pick, and you can go back and look at the archives and see me and Ryan talking about about the Knox pick.
Oh, I was not excited about the Knox pick.
We were tearing him a new one.
Yeah.
I tweeted so Kevin Knox, he had one really, really good game in college. It was at West Virginia where he dropped like 35. And I think the night of the draft, I was just like, yep, I'm going to be drowning myself in Kevin Knox highlights at West Virginia. Like, that was it. That was all there was to it. Yeah, it's the Knicks have had there's no sugarcoating it. The Knicks have had a really, really tough time drafting, especially in this like 8 to 11 range. And that's exactly where we're at right now.
The crazy part is we keep finding ourselves in this 8 to 11 range. And if you look at all the history, you'll see all this. Ooh, most of the superstars are in the 8 to 11th range.
Not down the Knicks.
Except when it comes to the Knicks.
Except when they come
I think there was a stat though. I don't know if it was ESPN or I forgot where the stat came from, but it basically showed like every player the Knicks picked at number 8 throughout their history, and none of these guys average over 10 points a game. And I'm just like, oh my god.
But I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful. New regime, new hope. New regime, new hope.
Whatever we got to do to talk ourselves into it. I mean, is there anyone else you guys want to talk about? We can end on Hallie. You want to end on Hallie? Because I think he's gonna be there.
Okay, I mean,
I think he might be there.
Why not?
All right, so
there's gonna be more hater comments.
All right.
This is let's get these thumbs down going.
I'm gonna put my quote up right there. I'm starting with a very straight up quote. Tyrese Haliburton is a very good basketball player. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Very, very good basketball player.
They're not going to hear that part, but go ahead.
J. Ellis is trying to get me in trouble. I swear he's trying to get me in trouble.
I'm sorry. You did this the last video too, and they ignored all the good things you said about him being a savant.
I just want this here.
Who said savant? You said savant, and they still hate it. But go ahead.
That's like the best compliment you can give a basketball player. Anyways, I'm clipping this. I'm clipping me saying Tyrese Haliburton's a very good basketball player. So all Knicks fans are in my comments. I'm just going to reply with this YouTube clip of me saying he is very good at basketball. Okay, I don't hate him. I don't think he sucks. None of that is true. However, Tyrese Haliburton would be a disastrous fit with the Knicks because he is a linking piece in the NBA. He is a very good catch and shoot shooter. He has not shown the ability to shoot off of movement. He has not shown the ability to shoot off of pin downs. He has not shown the ability to shoot off the bounce. However, he's a very good catch and shoot shooter. He ranked like in the 99th percentile as catch and shoot shooter this year. The mechanics are wonky, but he gets it off quickly. He has range and he's extremely accurate. I think that is the most translatable part of his game. He's going to space the floor reliably for his entire NBA career. I have no doubts about that, no matter what it looks like. He is not a point guard. Tyrese Haliburton is not a point guard. Get that through your heads. He is 6'5" with an extremely skinny frame, no handle, and very limited burst.
When you say no handle, break down no handle. This is where the confusion comes down. If
Tyrese Haliburton was in a summer league game at Dyckman Park, he would have a very tough time scoring in double digits.
Oh, damn, at Dyckman Park? Damn.
They give it up crazy at Dyckman. I mean, a lot of people might
Dyckman's no joke.
Dyckman's no joke.
Dyckman is no joke. And my point, like the connotation that comes to me saying that he can't create his own bucket, right? Like they don't run pick and rolls at Dyckman. They don't run pick and rolls at Dyckman. And I'm not saying whoever can play the best at Dyckman is going to be the best NBA player, but as an NBA point guard, if you can't create advantages and move the defense on your own, it's going to be really, really tough for you to succeed. And that's why I'm a bit lower on Tyrese Haliburton as a passer, because I just don't think like college teams didn't know how to play him. They played him way too aggressively. He is conservative. He's noteworthy. Like he is notably pass first. That is very easy to tell. And college teams were still rotating all around to not let him get to the rim, even though he couldn't even get to the rim. But like the thing with Haliburton is he is going to be at his best. If he lands in Phoenix, he's going to be a stud. Like that dude will be a stud.
Oh yeah.
He's going to just play off the ball. He's going to knock down catch and shoot shots. He's going to make incredible +1 passes. He can attack. He can like put the ball on the deck a little bit and make a great decision. He can be a good team defender. But if you're coming in and asking Tyrese Haliburton to lead your team in any type of way and to leverage and move the defense and create these windows of like to make passes and just be a legit primary, you're going to put yourself in a lot of trouble because he's not capable of doing that. He's just not.
So what you're saying is, all right, I'm gonna leave it right there. Yeah, I'm passing on Hallie too as well. I think that's not a secret. I like the guy, but I I at this point I compared him to Frank before.
It's I gave Frank. I'm not gonna call it a shout out because it wasn't very positive. But in my article about Tyrese Haliburton, I wrote that how like it becomes that much harder to be an effective playmaker if the defense does not respect you as a scorer. Just ask Frank Ntilikina. Frank is a good passer. He is a smart basketball player, but the windows for Frank are so much smaller because no one is gravitating to him as a scorer. Take someone like Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has made an incredible leap as a playmaker, but the windows are so easy. It's wide open because he's getting into the paint, penetrating the defense. He's making everyone move. Like, he's not making complex passes, but the reads are there because he's creating advantages. Like, Russell Westbrook is the best like advantage creator. And I wouldn't even say like Russell Westbrook, if you watch him, he can get 10 assists a game without really like, he doesn't have to run a pick and roll, move the help, and throw an insane like skip pass to the corner. Like, his assists are not Luka Doncic assists, but Russell Westbrook can easily get 10 or 11 assists a game by just creating advantages and getting to the rim and shifting the defense and making drop-off passes. Tyrese Haliburton can't shift the defense. So I think you're going to see a lot of teams play him like the college team should have played him, and everyone says, oh, you just run a pick and roll for him. Well, the pick and roll is actually more dicey than you think it is because I don't trust him shooting off the bounce. And
exactly.
So you can just run, in theory, you can just run a drop coverage against him with the guard defender trailing around, staying on his hip, making things difficult from behind, and the big is just going to drop. And okay, fine, take your floater because he's not finishing around bigs at the rim, and he's not going to pull up for a jumper and punish you in drop coverage. So it's really interesting to see, like, okay, if NBA teams adopt a more conservative coverage, especially in the pick and roll with regards to Haliburton, how is he really going to exploit them, you know?
Yeah, he's going to be in trouble. And the crazy part about it is Frank will actually pull up and hit that mid-range. I mean, that's kind of weird, but that's the little advantage. That's a little advantage that Frank has that over Haliburton if you're trying to find one. I'm not trying to make this to a Frank versus Hallie thing, but it's just something to keep in mind. But I'm passing on Hallie for sure.
I agree. I'm with you. And it's nothing against the guy. He's a great basketball player, and if he finds himself in the right fit, he's going to have a good career for a long time. And like, you can see him being a linking piece on a championship team. Like, he can be he's a winner. Like, he can be a winner. He's just not going to be maximized with the New York Knicks, and it's just not a good use of our pick at 8.
Yeah, I agree there. I think we covered everybody that there could be at 8. I think it's been some time. You gotta go, right, Jake? Or
yeah, I gotta go. I gotta deal with some college stuff, as you guys know. I'm heading out tomorrow, but I had to get one last talk with my guys at KOT.
All right, man. Yo, thank you big time for stopping through, man. Appreciate you talking some Knicks with us, man. Of course. Breaking down this 8 pick, man. Definitely gonna have you back whenever you have time to talk, or you.
We'll be in touch. I'll be back. I'll be back.
We'll definitely be back, man. That is Jake. Jake in the paint, man.
Yeah,
the infamous.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Word.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, yo.
Thank you.
Them. Now it's time for one of the favorite parts of the show. The bruh picks. No picks this week because there's no Knicks basketball, but bruh picks are the worst basketball plays of the week. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be basketball. It's just, the life things that happen that are stupid. We just point it out because it's stupid. And so there's been some stupid. We haven't been here for 2 weeks, so there's been a lot of stupid. I'm pretty sure. Does anybody want to lead off with any stupid this week? Anybody?
I'll let y'all do the honors first. I'll come through at the end.
All right. Do we want to do a group? All right. I mean, listen. Bruh pick for me has to be. It hurts me to say it because he's a guy I like. I call him affectionately my point guard with the Dragon Ball Z hair. Right. De'Aaron Fox kind of took some shots at the Knicks because we didn't get the 8th. We got the 8th pick, and it's like, bruh, like. So what? Like we finished 6th. Don't you know how the rules work? Like how did he think we was gonna get the first pick? Like why was he singling us out for getting the 8th pick? Like granted, I was upset we got the 8th pick.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was just weird. It would just seem like he just got to the NBA, doesn't know how to draft lottery works. Like, what was that?
He
about?
knows. I think it's. I hate people that take cheap shots at the Knicks. I just think it's so corny. Like it's at this point now, it's corny. It's easy to hate on us, and it's so corny to hate on us. It's like picking on the uncool kid in school. Like you don't get points for that.
It's just piled on for no reason.
You don't get points for that. You don't get points for like hating on the Knicks anymore. It's not. I think everybody just needs to know there needs to be a PSA that's like, yo.
Exactly, and my whole thing is this: like, yo, we have no beef with the Aaron Fox. Like, dog, when you were picked in the draft, you were picked before the Knicks pick, so it's not even like we skipped over you where you would have a legit, beef with the Knicks. That's number one. Number two, it's like, dog, you play for the Sacramento Kings. Like, yo, the last time I checked, have the Kings ever won an NBA championship?
No,
Nah.
no.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, dog, you play for a losing franchise too? Like, what are you laughing at, my guy?
Exactly. They about to blow your team up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Again,
exactly. Because you keep getting injured and can't finish. I mean, I don't know. We might have Bogdanovich or somebody over here in next season. Who knows?
which makes it even more corny because it's like, yo, if you suck and we suck, how you making fun of us?
Exactly.
Word. It's like the kettle calling the whatever.
With the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah. Damn, kettle, chill. Hey, anyway, yeah, that's my bruh pick for this week. There was some other serious. There was a real serious bruh that I don't even want to know if I want to even touch on that serious bruh. I'm gonna just let that one simmer. Go ahead.
Nah, you gotta give it up.
It was too serious for me, man. I'm just like, it's Tory, man.
I felt that. I felt
Tory,
that.
man. Like,
I felt that.
Like, I don't even want to make light of it. That's just loserish.
Yeah.
You shot somebody getting out of a car?
For real.
As a man, you shot as a man. You's like, she's not listening to me, so I'm gonna take my gun out. And I don't understand the thinking.
Me neither. I don't understand it either.
I just don't. Somebody hug him.
I think it's a short man complex. Because my guy like 5'3", 5'4".
It's just the wrong flex.
Is that a flex?
Yeah.
To shoot your girl?
Yeah, I mean it was. Clearly he would have never pulled the trigger if it wasn't, no.
That man need help, and the men around him need to tell that man he need help.
That too.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
It's a complex conversation. It's complex.
Never mind.
It's a complex conversation, but at the same time, though, it's like you're not supposed to shoot your girl in the foot, though. Like you're not supposed to shoot your girl.
Anybody,
Shoot anybody.
Yeah,
bruh. What the?
Yeah.
This is not 2020. Just fast forward 2020 because this is crazy.
Yeah, 2020 is wild, man.
Please. Let's just on to the next year.
Protect Black women.
Yes. Protect the Cathys.
Bruh.
Yeah, but Tory definitely gets a bra.
Please, yes.
He gets the strongest bra.
Bro, no, wait. He gets a whose man's is this?
Whose man's?
Well, I mean, nobody's claiming him anymore, so technically, like,
he nobody man's.
Yeah, he's nobody's man's.
Yeah,
You're right about that.
For him in the streets.
You know, we taking that back. We need another category for that.
Word.
He goes with the other unmentionable rappers now. He falls in that. Yeah, there's a growing list of new unmentionable rappers. It's gonna be Tory. It's 6ix9ine. It's Tory. The list is growing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's worse than 6ix9ine.
I mean, way worse than 6. But
yeah.
Because I mean,
6ix9ine like a Boy Scout now.
Snitching is bad, but at least 6ix9ine ain't shoot nobody.
I'd have snitched on him.
Facts.
I wouldn't. I'm not saving you. Or I'm shooting you back. It's one of the two.
Man, listen. Next pick. Anybody else got something?
Kath, you got something?
Ryan got 20. The way he's smirking.
No, Tori was mine, but I didn't want to bring it up because I'm like, it's a heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
You forced it out of me.
Yeah. It's super heavy. Yeah, I only had Tori. And yeah, the other one that I'm thinking of, one, it's too early to bring up. Two, I'll tell y'all after.
Okay.
I'll tell y'all after. But no, yeah,
All right.
no bros for me. I had a partial bro
Partial.
on Jay's.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bruh, man from the fifth floor.
give it to us.
So
What you got, son?
So, y'all mentioned a couple of my bro picks already, so it's going to be a bit limited for me right now. But one bro pick I do have, it would have been right on time if this was last week, but I still had to carry it over to this week because I still think it was pretty funny. So Seahawks cut rookie cornerback Kema Severin because he was caught trying to sneak a woman visitor into the team hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And he tried to do this by disguising her as a player. I don't know if it was as a player or as personnel, whatever the case may be. But
I heard she pads on her.
but he tried to sneak her to the hotel. I'm like, unless this chick is shaped like a linebacker, I'm like, yo, you're not gonna get away with that.
It would have been easier if he tried to make her like staff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, try to disguise her as staff. But I'm like, as a player, like, come on, dog.
Yeah, and I don't think you're trying to sneak in the chick who's shaped like a linebacker. It's just
exactly. Like, you would assume like this girl is probably petite, slim shape, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, come on, like, you got dudes on the NFL roster buff as hell with like muscles popping out, popping out the pads and all that. And you're gonna really try to sneak in a girl as a player? Like, come on, man.
Like you thought. That don't even sound like it makes sense. Like, why was that the option? Like, that doesn't even seem like that should be a thing.
that seems like that only happens on like Looney Tunes or some shit. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That shouldn't be a
That
thing.
is not real. I still can't believe that story.
For real.
That should have been a prank.
And to quote Deion Sanders, because he commented on it, he was like, he would have done the same thing, but the difference is that you can't cut Prime. You know what I'm saying? Because Prime Time is too good of a player. It's like, yo, you're not gonna cut that dude. You're gonna fine him or whatever the case may be. But I'm like, this dude I think he was an undrafted rookie. I'm like, dog, you don't have the clout yet to even try to pull off something like that.
That should have been the last thing on his mind. You were undrafted and you're a rookie and you made it. Like,
Exactly.
the only focus you have
Should've
right now
been,
is
but,
football.
Listen, this pandemic is people are struggling.
Touche. Good point. I double back.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, it's how long? You know what? This is a crazy idea.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, though, it's like, come on, dog. You need to man up and be like, okay, I'm not on the team yet. I need to make the team first.
Let me get a better idea of sneaking her in.
Like that team got janky cable, I guess. That's another story. If you didn't catch that joke, you won't catch it. All right.
Bruh.
And now my other bro pick is gonna have to go to Sir Charles Barkley.
Bruh.
Because I don't know if y'all been-
Of course, Charles Barkley. Of course, Charles Barkley.
I don't know if y'all been watching Inside the NBA this past week or so, but my guy's been making a whole lot of guarantees. and they've been backfiring like crazy this whole week.
What's the term called? Cashing a check, but writing a check your ass can't cash.
Exactly.
Bruh.
First, my guy said if the Blazers win game 1, they would sweep the Lakers. Now they're down 2-1 to the Lakers.
Whoop.
This guy
Bruh.
also guaranteed a victory, I think, for the Denver Nuggets against the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz ended up smacking them that game.
Yeesh.
And then again, I think last
Bruh.
night he said, okay, the Pacers are going to beat the Heat. It was a close game, but the Heat still won. My guy need to stop guaranteeing no more. Matter of fact, next season, I hope Charles guaranteed the Knicks. No, I hope he guaranteed the Knicks lose every game next year, so the Knicks can go 82-0.
So we can do the opposite.
Exactly. I'm with it, Charles. Predict. Please do.
Exactly. Like, Charles, please bet against us every game next season. Please.
Facts. That's a bruh for you, dog.
Word.
Maybe he's doing it on purpose. Maybe he's trolling.
Nah, he believed it.
Maybe he
Definitely
was trolling.
The way he had that broom out.
Yeah.
Believed it.
My man was sweeping.
Mhm.
There was no way that the Blazers would sweep the Lakers.
Nah.
Nah.
LeBron ain't having it. If anything,
that's
he's
not.
getting at least a game.
At least.
Exactly.
Even though, yeah, at least. I'm still rooting for you. Let's go, Melo.
Of course, Melo, Dame, like those my guys. Like I really hope they win that series, but
Yeah, it's not looking good now, but we'll see.
yeah, it's not looking good right now though.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is that it? You got more?
Yeah, no, that's it, man. That's it.
Cool. That is our show. Hope you enjoyed our special guest, Jake in the Paint, to break down the draft prospects. And you haven't watched our old episode with Jake in the Paint, it's definitely up. It's in our YouTube playlist. You can see all the process we talked about. So definitely check that out. Also follow Jake in the Paint as well on Twitter. I should have asked him about his Twitter handle beforehand. Slipped my mind. But if you follow us on YouTube, I'll put his handle in the description. So definitely follow us there. And yeah, also follow us. Just follow us. We're on Twitter too. The KOT Show on Twitter. The Nick Time Show on Instagram. We're also on Facebook as well. And we're also on YouTube. You listen to us on YouTube. If you don't follow us on YouTube, are you dumb? Like what's up with you, dog? You're gonna get the visuals plus the hand gestures that we make, plus the jokes, plus clips that go along with it. You're just missing out on a whole lot. So I advise you to go to youtube.com/NickTimeShow if you are not listening to us on YouTube.
Yes, subscribe, and sometimes we read
Like,
some of y'all
share.
comments too and talk about them on the show. So leave comments.
Yes, we do read comments. We definitely read comments and we engage with you guys too. Like, share, subscribe, follow, all that noise. All right. So yeah, and you can follow me on Instagram too at J Ellis Draws Things, no $S or anything. Straight up J Ellis Draws Things. JELLIS. You'll see some drawings, you'll see some graphics, and every now and again I'll post some new stuff. I've been inactive lately, but who knows? Where can they find you, lady, Miss Black Girl Magic?
I am K Steele, _ KTHYSTEELE on the socials.
Yep. So definitely follow her there on these socials. And where can they find you, sir?
You can find me at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
That's SIR. G is CHILLIN.
New York,
Alright.
big city of
That's
dreams.
our show.
I'm coming,
You're out of
I'm
this
coming
bitch.
straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.